Imagine this. You're walking through the grocery store and you stumble across this seemingly healthy product. It uses cardboard-colored packaging and it says it's all natural ingredients to make this product. It's being sold by a reputable store and it appears to be all healthy and good for you and possibly delicious too. So you put it in your cart, buy it, and give yourself a little mental pat on the back for buying something good and natural to add to your diet. But what if it wasn't as it seems? What does it actually mean when something is natural? Hello everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Blair, or the Illuminati, and today we're going to be talking about a subject that has come up in many of my MLM deep dives and other talks about shady businesses. This is about the truth behind the phrase all natural. We've heard it from Gwyneth Paltrow when talking about Goop to Hunbots and many others. Some people are under the impression that so long as something is natural, it can't be bad. I assume this mindset comes from so many processed things on the market these days that people's concern about not knowing where things come from is leading to this kind of rush of needing things to be natural. One example, by FDA standards, Kraft isn't even allowed to call their singles cheese. They call it Kraft Singles, or pasteurized prepared cheese product, because the majority of it is, well, not cheese. So while it's true that there is a lot of processed stuff out there, how did we get from wanting to be healthy to going so far the opposite way that we'll just buy into the words all natural without a second glance? The health and wellness movement has existed for ages. That's not something new. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be healthy, and don't get me wrong. I'm not making this video to bash anyone that likes raw veggies or tries to eat less processed foods or use less processed beauty products. Only to explain how businesses take advantage of the word natural for profit, but I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Let's talk about how huge this craze is and where it actually comes from first. According to the Global Wellness Institute, the health and wellness industry has swelled to a staggering $4.2 trillion. Some believe the reason is as simple as consumers having access to more information due to the internet and organic and supplement nutrition laws that were passed in the early 90s. Whether it's the abundance of information or health scares around processed products, who knows? Everyone has their reasons for wanting to be healthy. Funny enough, this made me think of Goop though, because it's right at the top of this article by Vox. The natural beauty industry is on the rise because we're scared of chemicals. And it reads, Gwyneth Paltrow often peddles questionable science and theories, but she's far from alone in her skepticism towards conventional makeup and skincare. Over the past few years, a parallel beauty industry has exploded alongside the traditional one. Natural beauty, clean beauty. Many new brands and retailers are basically saying, your regular beauty products contain all sorts of dangerous stuff, use these safer ones instead. It's a complicated claim and pretty hard to prove conclusively, but it's a message that has caused radical upheaval in the cosmetics industry. These companies are responding to legitimate concerns about certain chemicals like BPA and phthalates. Then there have been some high-profile lawsuits like the Johnson & Johnson ovarian cancer talc cases, in which juries have awarded multi-million-dollar settlements to people who claimed using baby powder for years caused their cancer. Then the hair care company Wen settled a $26 million class action case because one of its products was allegedly making people's hair fall out. Consumers have become afraid of chemicals and started looking for products they think would be natural or safer. Here's my problem. Talc is natural. What I don't understand is why people will say, oh my gosh, this baby powder containing talc causes cancer. We have to switch to something natural. Talc is literally a mineral found in the earth, and it was still dangerous in the lawsuit they mention. If someone put a harmful natural ingredient in a product, they should be held accountable, absolutely. Whether it's talc, asbestos, cyanide, or snake venom, all of those things are natural, but they all have their own set issues. It just bothers me to see people assume that these large businesses are making synthetic or processed terrible, harmful products, then believe other businesses with the word natural stamped on them must be perfect. And it's not because these harmful ingredients can be natural too. It's the lack of regulation, how just about anyone can use these terms without consequences. The U.S. Department of Agriculture, the organization that regulates food, has rules about what kind of products can be labeled as organic. In beauty, it's dependent on what percentage of USDA standard organic ingredients are in that product. But ultimately, being organic doesn't make an ingredient better or safer, as the FDA notes. Sure, organic as it's used in food products may make a difference, but according to the FDA, in terms of cosmetics, an ingredient source doesn't determine its safety. Organic doesn't make a difference here, and the word natural isn't even regulated at all. This leads to a whole host of problems. In 2016, the FTC brought administrative action against a company selling sunscreen marketed as all natural because at least 8% of the product was dimethicone, a synthetic ingredient. The National Advertising Division, the NAD, recommended that a company discontinue natural or naturally drying claims for its antiperspirants because they contained aluminum. One court stated a reasonable consumer could understand the statements 100% natural or all natural to mean that a product doesn't contain any non-natural ingredient. And honestly, like, no shit, I'm sorry, but like, come on. If I hear the words all natural, I'm going to think that a product is all natural, not 50%, not 70%, not 90%, the whole damn thing. Carla Burns, a research analyst from Environmental Working Group, says marketing claims about the source, safety, and effectiveness of personal care products and their ingredients often aren't worth the labels they're printed on. Lax federal regulation means claims like natural, non-toxic, plant-based, and free of have no legal basis in the personal care industry. With so many different claims on packages, consumers are often left confused or even misled about what's really in their products. Scientifically speaking, nothing is non-toxic. Even water in large doses can be harmful. However, many companies use this claim to suggest that a product is safe. The term is often used alongside claims of a product being non-irritating, hypoallergenic, gentle, or all-natural. And fun fact here, one of the most poisonous things out there that occurs in nature, the pufferfish. According to National Geographic, almost all pufferfish contain tetrodotoxin, which makes them lethal to other fish. It is about 1,200 times more poisonous than cyanide, and even toxin in one pufferfish could kill 30 adult humans. But sure, nature can't harm you. I mean, look, I want to believe as much as anyone that these are non-toxic and plant-based labels, that they mean something, but it really doesn't. Given all the companies I've talked about, I really do try to be conscious when I'm shopping. I'm not out here trying to buy Nestle chocolate anymore, that's for sure. So when I see a company trying to do good or be organic or whatever it might be, I absolutely want to promote them. But I won't buy into the non-toxic, natural, free of craze unless it's actually making a sourceable, provable difference. Anyway, back to EWG. There are no federal standards or definitions that govern the use of the term hypoallergenic, according to the FDA. The term means whatever a particular company wants it to mean. Manufacturers of cosmetics labeled as hypoallergenic are not required to submit substantiation of their claims to FDA. Ultimately, it is up to shoppers to gauge the merit of marketing claims. The best way to know what's in your product is by reading the list of ingredients. For most people, that can be a daunting task given the complicated chemical names found in many ingredient panels. Now, if it's up to consumers, we're all doomed. And I'm just kidding, but kind of. But this does get back to the whole point of honesty and the trust part of marketing. I'm not going to say in my videos how important it is to do your research into a company that you might not be sure of over and over and over again. You guys can see by my videos that there's so many things that seem to be just hiding beneath the surface when you do the research, but these things take time to find, and not a lot of people want to take that time. So to some extent, yes, the burden does fall on us to know how we spend our money, but it falls on the company to be honest in their own advertising. Thankfully, there are resources out there, as EWG mentioned. One of them is on their website called Skin Deep. You can search a product, see what's in it, and find out what it contains that might be concerning, have it broken down, and given a rating. I was pretty pleased that some of my own hair care products actually had a nice rating. You should know what's in your products anyway, but it is frustrating that poor regulations means companies can lie, and it only makes it harder for consumers to know the truth and find out what they're actually putting on their body or consuming. And some of the companies that are most guilty of this? Yeah, it's MLMs. MLMs, multi-level marketing, the Huns. The Hunbots are at it again. Whenever there's a trend, it feels like they have to jump on it and make that sweet boss babe money, you know, like a couple hundred a year. And the whole non-toxic, all-natural movement is absolutely one that they've infiltrated and taken advantage of. One of these is called Organo, a coffee MLM, and I fucking hate this company, okay? I met someone a few years back who tried to sell me some, and they were insanely pushy and rude, and it's honestly no surprise. But anyway, their whole thing obviously is being organic. They're called Organo, of course it is. But according to Courthouse News Service, their coffee has a mushroom in it with dangerous blood-thinning properties. But guys, I bet that mushroom is organic, so that has to make it okay, right? Well, a complaint filed by Marlon Johnson stated that he was unaware of the dangerous side effects, and he has since learned that Ganoderma lucidum is a natural blood thinner that prevents a person's blood from clotting properly and causes intestinal bleeding and platelet dysfunction. But the packaging didn't warn anyone about these side effects, but again, it's an organic mushroom used in traditional Chinese medicine. Doesn't that sound fancy and all natural and safe? Surely that means that when Johnson was vomiting blood and suffering blood clots and needed emergency surgery, it was all the chemicals in his body, not this all-natural product. Now, obviously, I'm being a bit sarcastic to keep myself from exploding, but this is a really serious issue. The whole natural things can't harm you mindset is dangerous and it needs to die already. Not to keep people from eating healthy, but to keep people from assuming the best of a company simply because it says organic on the package. That said, let's keep moving right along because Organo is far from the only company or even MLM to use these all-natural terms to deceive consumers. Another more well-known company that does this is Arbonne. On their website, they state, "We use plant-based ingredients in 100% vegan certified products backed by clinical research." I mean, hey, poison ivy is a plant and it's vegan, so, those words alone shouldn't be their only selling point. It's the clinical research part that has me curious. They say they're certified clean, pure, only take the best from nature, but that doesn't make it easy to find anything about this research. There's certifications for sure, though one of them is from PETA, so I don't know if we can really take that one seriously. There's no tree nuts, soy, corn syrup, dairy products, beeswax, parabens, synthetic fragrances, dyes, talc. The list of so-called harmful ingredients they promise not to use is so long that it makes me wonder what's actually in this stuff. I looked at the ingredient list, and one of the first things I found on their site was a gel cleanser. On the list was water, whatever the heck this word is, glycerin, sodium methyl something taurate, I'm gonna butcher these words because I'm no chemist here, witch hazel, another sodium thing, coconut acid, salicylic acid, and quite a bit more. Aside from the water and the witch hazel, how are they only taking the best from nature with this? Now, the second ingredient, coca something bentane, which I'm butchering it, so it's just not working for me, okay? But this ingredient here is a synthetic fatty acid, but because it's made from coconuts, all natural products still have it. I'm not saying it's a horrible ingredient, I'm just saying that Arbonne is jumping on the bandwagon of this all-natural craze when their products really fall into a gray area. Not to mention, synthetic or not, Arbonne products have led to liver failure, bloating, vomiting, diarrhea, stomach cramps, gas, and constipation. They've even had recalls on 6 different occasions, several of those from bacteria in their products. One was in 2009 because of Pseudomonas something bacteria which causes dermatitis, soft tissue infections, and another in 2016 when their eyeliners may have caused conjunctivitis or whatever this is, pink eye and inflamed eyelids. But they're made of the best nature can offer. Okay, sure. 1 or 2 recalls I may understand, but 6 since 2009, most of them for bacteria-related issues. Natural doesn't automatically mean better. Remember that. One of the worst offenders in terms of insisting how natural they are is an MLM I actually haven't heard of until researching for this video, possibly because they're UK-based. So my British fans out there and those in the UK, let me know, is this like a real big thing or is this like a really small obscure brand? NYR Organic, or Neil's Yard Remedies Organic. This one has organic in the title, and I have to say, out of every MLM I've done a deep dive into, they're right up there for being one of the worst with pushing the whole "we're natural, therefore we're amazing." Their vision is to be a world leader of natural health and beauty, enabling people to live more healthy. Their mission is to improve the quality of people's lives by sharing our expertise and encouraging a more natural, holistic way of health, beauty, and well-being. But their philosophy is we're passionate about transforming people's lives, educating and empowering them on how to live more healthily through the power of nature. So they have a mission, a philosophy, and a vision that are all about nature, education, and empowerment. Yep, sounds like an MLM to me. A whole lot of nothing with some buzzwords thrown in. Now, as for their products, I just went under their face products and clicked the first one. And I'll give them credit on one point. Just about every ingredient does seem to be, air quotes here, natural. Some kind of plant, oil, or an alcohol that can be made from plants or oils are all I can see on their ingredient list. My problem with this MLM isn't so much that they're lying about being natural, it's that they're lying about the benefits. NYR claims that through their homeopathic remedies, they can prevent and treat malaria. The woman that said this was Susan Curtis, the medicines director of NYR and the author of Homeopathic Alternatives to Immunization. And just like, fucking why am I not surprised that this woman said that? Anyone who can write a book with that title, well, I automatically can tell we aren't going to get along very well. NYR eventually accepted that if they didn't take it down, they'd probably be liable for a hefty lawsuit and remove that little detail. Bit of shame, honestly. I really would have loved to see them pay out the pocket for making those kinds of stupid claims. But of course, that's not the only issue they've had. One notable problem happened just over 2 years ago, in 2018. NYR was notified that 2 of their Covent Garden products had lead and cadmium, and they refused to provide warnings. Their settlement was for only £27,000, but guys, lead and cadmium, they're both minerals, so natural, so healthy, right? I mean, if NYR's wonderful products and essential oils have lead, surely it's only because lead is a naturally occurring mineral from the earth, right? So what's there to argue about? God, I don't know what it is about this topic that just really just sets me off and makes me just a little more snarky than usual, but it does. And I know I'm automatically a bit biased against Arbonne, Organo, and NYR because, well, they're MLM, so before I even get into what they sell, their business structure is absolute garbage to me. But this shouldn't be acceptable from any business, whether it's intentional like the mushroom, unintentional like the plain neglect like the lead, or the ingredients fall into a bit of a gray area like Arbonne. So just to show that I'm not going after only the Huns here, let's take a look at a brand you most likely have heard of that isn't an MLM, Aveeno. Aveeno says they use nature's goodness and real science to make their products, on the website and on the bottles themselves. But yet again, calling your product natural doesn't make it so. A class action lawsuit filed against them for $2.4 million because Aveeno's natural baby wash was marketed as 100% natural and made with a natural oat formula. However, as it turns out, only 1% of the ingredients were natural. 1%. Seriously, why did they even try that? It only makes it worse that this was marketed towards infants when parents want to be extra cautious on what they're using with their babies, and they played into the scare to get money. If they say it's an oat formula, fine, but that's a downright lie, so hey, Aveeno paid for it. With the money, I'm sure they earned marketing themselves as all natural. I'm sure that $2.4 million was worth it, especially considering since then they've had another lawsuit against them for the same damn thing. A class action lawsuit totaling $6.75 million this time for the endless list of their natural line. Seriously, like, are you seeing this list? I'm not even going to bother to count how many is on here. It's just like everything, it seems. Just every Aveeno Active Naturals product was not natural. Well, at least it seems that way according to this lawsuit. CV Skin Lab says, take a glance at Aveeno's Active Naturals website and you'll get the feeling that this brand is full of natural goodness. A light, earthy background color serves as the palette for rich photographs and products flanked by white sand and green leaves, the kind that gives you the feeling that these products are healthy for you and full of safe and nourishing ingredients. Unfortunately, that's not the case. None of these ingredients would pass natural standards, says Judy Bierling, a technical research manager who works with Organic Monitor. So how does Aveeno get by claiming that this product and so many of its other products are natural? Seems all about image. And hey, if Aveeno works for you, that's fine. I'm not suggesting Aveeno can't make decent products. I'm simply saying they don't make natural ones. At least Kraft Singles isn't going out there saying that they're putting all natural cheese on their packaging. But they're under a bit stricter guidelines, so that's maybe a bit of a different story. Speaking of guidelines, though, it does look like we're about to finally get some. This has been such a serious problem that the House of Representatives has introduced a new bill in November 2019. This would change the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act to make sure that the term natural meets certain standards. This means that, aside from water and salt, the product has to have at least 70% natural substances. No fragrance ingredient other than a natural substance or naturally derived ingredient, and a few other methods of making the product like ethylene oxide aren't allowed. In other words, finally, some fucking restrictions. I'm sure the consequences would depend on the situation, but I truly hope this goes through, and whoever breaks it is used as an example for other companies that try to do the same thing. But as of right now, it's only been introduced and we've got a long way to go. As for right now, does this mean we can't trust everything that says natural on the label? Not necessarily. The NCCIH, or National Center for Complementary and Integrative Health, says that nature has been good to us. Nature has given us aspirin and morphine and medicine. but at the same time, some dietary and herbal supplements have failed to show a benefit when scientists have studied them. For example, several major studies of the herb echina, or however it's pronounced, did not find evidence of benefit against the common cold. Studies of ginkgo, including a large study that enrolled more than 3,000 older adults, found that ginkgo supplements don't help prevent or slow dementia or cognitive decline. Some chemicals are harmful. Toxic chemicals are substances that may be harmful to the environment or hazardous to your health if inhaled, digested, or absorbed through the skin. Chlorine and isopropyl alcohol are examples of some of the toxic chemicals commonly found in certain industries. But there are many toxic chemicals that occur in nature as well. Mercury, snake venom, arsenic, and ricin from castor beans. Some chemicals like iron and oxygen are necessary for us to live, but at high doses are toxic and can even cause death. Natural medicines such as herbal and dietary supplements are made up of chemicals too, just like everything else. So don't choose something just because it says natural on the bottle, and likewise, don't dismiss something that has chemicals in it. It depends on you, your body, and what works for you. Companies, MLMs especially, like to throw the word natural around because it sounds healthy. As long as they're not lying, fine. There's plenty to call MLMs out on aside from this one marketing strategy alone, which is kind of a bad one anyway. But tossing around words like natural, non-toxic, or hypoallergenic for sales' sake is misleading and dangerous. So with all that being said, that's where I'm going to end today's video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it, and let me know your thoughts on the term natural and this marketing tactic in general in the comments section down below. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're new to the channel. If you guys want even more content from me, you can pop open my description box below the video. You're going to find links to all of my social media, second channel for my puppy Casper, and the collaboration channel with Sad Milk, among a whole host of other things in the description box. So again, thank you guys so much for making it to today's video. I love you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!